let's talk about the two financial ratios, ROA and ROE. ROA means return on asset. To calculate ROA, we use the after-tax income, after-tax the profit, divided by asset. Another way to say after-tax profit is net income. ROE can be calculated by after-tax profit divided by equity. In the bank case, we know equity means bank capital. So what's the difference between these two ratios? And you can see both of these ratios has the same numerator, after-tax profit, have a different denominator. For the ROA is asset. For example, when you calculate ROA, if you get the number, suppose is a 10%. So what's the meaning of the 10% if you calculate ROA? It means for every $1 of the asset the company has, it will generate 10 cents of the profit. But if you calculate ROE, suppose you get 10%, then what's the meaning? Remember, denominator in the ROE is a bank capital. It's equity. So you have to record equity represent the money from the shareholders. So in order to explain 10% for the ROE, you can say for equity 10%, you can explain like this. For every $1 shareholders invest into the company, it will generate 10 cents of the profit. So these two ratios basically measure the profitability based on the different variables. One is asset, one is equity. If you are shareholders, which one you would like to use to measure the profit you can obtain? The answer is ROE, return on equity, because return on equity compare the profit with the money shareholders invest into the company. So now I will derive this for you. And we know ROE equal the after-tax profit divided by bank capital. In this case, to keep this equation same, we actually can multiply asset divided by asset. Because asset divided by asset equal 1, so if we multiply by this ratio here, it will not change the equation. Then this equation can be rewrite as after-tax profit over asset multiplied by asset over bank capital. So what is the least part, the first part? After-tax profit over asset. What's this? And if you look at the ROA here, that's actually what we calculate the ROA. We use after-tax profit divided by asset. So this part will become the ROA. And the second part here, asset over bank capital. We call this the leverage or bank leverage. So some of you may ask the question, what's the meaning of the bank leverage? Bank leverage actually can tell you whether a bank rely heavily or slightly on the debt they have. So give you one example here. And we know asset, according to the balance sheet, the value of asset equal liability plus bank capital. So that's the equation you have to always keep in mind. Asset equal liability plus bank capital. So if suppose the asset remain the same, if company use more liabilities to finance asset, what happened to the bank leverage, these ratios? This ratio is going up or going down. Again, from this equation here, if bank rely more on liability, asset remain the same, bank capital has to reduce to keep this equation both sides same as each other. So which means if bank use more debt, asset remain the same, bank capital will go down. We use the same number divided by the smaller number, bank capital. The whole ratio here will increase. So if the bank rely more heavily on the liability, debt, the bank leverage is going up. If bank leverage going up with the same amount of ROA, bank return on equity actually can increase. And if you studied finance before, you probably know the way we break down the ROE equal ROA multiplied by bank leverage. That's what we call the DuPont equation. So you have to understand how to calculate ROA, ROE, plus you need to know the DuPont equation, return on equity equal return on asset multiplied by bank leverage. And the bank leverage really depends on how much liability the bank want to use compared with the bank capital.